All right, so I think it's time to start our session today. First of all, thank you very much for joining me for this live training and QA session. I'm very happy to see everyone. Um, Before we start, I just wanted to say a couple of words about what we'll do today. This is going to be a walkthrough of PractiTest platform. I think it will be equally beneficial for users that are new to PractiTest because we will be going through the entire flow. And also for those of you who are more mature users who are familiar with PractiTest, because I will be going through some of the new functionality that we have. And what I wanted to mention as well is that we do this training sessions quite often. So feel free to join future training session. There's going to be one on the 26th of March that will actually specifically cover new features and our new UI that is being slowly updated. Um, and yeah, so this is a small introduction. My name is Eli. I'm a customer success manager here at PractiTest. And let's dive in. One more thing, please, because this is also a Q&A session, so please feel free to ask any questions that you want. Feel free to stop me, add a message in the chat. There is a webinar chat that is open for everybody, and also a Q&A that I will be checking on. I will do my best to answer the questions as soon as possible. All right. So for those of you who are newer to PractiTest, I wanted to say that PractiTest is an end-to-end test management platform meant to be a centralized testing hub for all of your QA efforts. And you can use PractiTest as a standalone solution for your entire QA flow, or you can also use us together with other platforms for requirements and issue management like Jira or, for example, ClickUp or Azure DevOps. We are fully synced with these platforms, and I will explain what that means exactly very soon. All right, so PractiTest consists of 4 key components, as you can see on the slide here. There is the planning component, which is based on the requirements module, where you sync your user stories and requirements. The test execution component that is split into 2, test library and test set and run. Test library is a repository for all of your test cases, while test sets and runs is actually for execution of the tests. There's also the issues component, which is to record and track all of your issues, as well as the last but not least section for reports and dashboards, which is providing you with a real-time visual representation of your testing process, sort of an end goal, really, for many teams. Before moving on, I see there is a small question. Yes, Christina, for sure. Just for everyone, this session will be recorded, and I will share the recording after the session with everybody. Moving on. I also wanted to mention that we work with a lot of different clients, from small companies to big corporations, and I'm very happy to see some of you in this training session with me. As a customer success manager here at PractiTest, I see a lot of happy customers, so I'm very proud to show the slide to you. Last thing before we dive into the platform, there is a webinar coming up by Marcus Morel. It's going to be about AI in software testing, which is kind of a hot topic right now. So if you're interested, please feel free to scan this QR code and sign up. You can also find this information online after the webinar, of course. All right, so I am going to exit this screen. Okay, and and go into the platform. So I'm going to start this walkthrough from the dashboard tab. Just going to keep the chat open on the side, actually, just to make sure that I am seeing it. Okay. So I would like to start this walkthrough with the dashboard module, because it's sort of an end goal for many teams out there. It provides you with, like I already mentioned, real-time visibility of your testing process. You can manage your own data and data of your teams in the dashboard. When I say real-time, what I mean is that it is updated every 15 minutes, all of these items. And it has a lot of customization options that you can use as well. There is a bunch of features that I will be covering in this walkthrough. Some of them are also related to dashboards, so please stay until the end. We will dive into the dashboards at the end of the walkthrough to sort of finalize our review. A couple of things about the dashboards. As you can see, they consist from these tabs, which you can separate and create different dashboards for different teams, for example, in addition to the items. Each tab consists of the items. You can create up to 8 items per tab and customize it the way you want. Now, so moving on. So I will start this walkthrough from the requirements. Requirements, as we already mentioned, is where you do the planning part of your cycle. This is where you manage your user stories and your requirements. Requirements can be created directly in PractiTest from here. They can also be imported from various project management tools like Azure DevOps, ClickUp, Jira. In this case, I'm going to be using the example of Jira because it's one of the most common and I had to pick one, so I chose Jira. If we go into a specific requirement, as you can see, we already have one requirement that was imported from Jira, the login functionality one, and you can see that from the test ID. If I go inside this requirement, what I will see are all the details related to this requirement, including the title, the description, some of the PractiTest fields under the description, and as well as the fields from Jira, as well as the attachments, comments, and many additional things. When we say that PractiTest is fully synced with Jira or other project management tools, what we mean is that some of these fields are synced with Jira, meaning that if I make any changes to the title, to the description, to the status, and to a specially mapped field from Jira, also the attachments and comments, you will see them in PractiTest as well. For example, right here, I already have one attachment and one comment that were actually added or typed in Jira, but you can also see them in PractiTest. That's how the integration works. In the description field here, you can see the link to the original Jira ticket. In this case, the ticket type is story. So if I go into if I use this link, it will take me to the Jira ticket. And the first thing that we see is that the title of the ticket, its description, attachment, and also if we scroll all the way down, the comment is exactly the same as what we saw in PractiTest. In addition, there is what we call a PractiTest panel that shows you all of the tests that are related to this requirement, along with the statuses of these requirements, of this test, sorry, based on its last last execution, the last execution date, and also the tester that was doing the execution. Now, one moment. If we go back to PractiTest, what we'll see is this traceability tab in the requirement, which will also, by the way, show you the linked tests together with their statuses of the last execution. And if you want to add any additional tests to these requirements to cover this requirement, you can do it from the field here using the test IDs, which you will see here, these numbers, or you can click on Show Tests and choose the tests from the test library based on the ones that are related to this requirement. Okay, let's go back to the main grid of the requirements. The last thing that I wanted to show you is this requirement status bar in the main grid. This status bar shows you the statuses of the tests linked to this requirement based on its last execution. So for example, if we look at the bar here, you see that there's 3 tests that failed, 2 tests that were not yet run, and also 1 that passed. If we go inside the requirement and check the traceability tab, we will see exactly that. So this is basically just a quick view, a summary of these requirements. Before we move on to the test library, I just want to quickly check the chat. Okay, I don't have any new messages as far as I can see. All right, so we can move on to the test library. Now, test library is part of the testing component in PractiTest. Just a reminder, they're split into 2. There's the test library, test sets and runs, specifically for the testing. What is the difference between the 2? Test library is a repository for your generic test cases that can be executed in different contexts. For example, you may want to use the same test in the context of different sprints or different operating systems like Mac or Windows, while the test sets and runs is where you would actually do the execution. The idea behind the separation of the testing phase into 2 is to prevent the need to clone or copy your tests for different executions. You can write your general test cases in the test library and then use them to do the execution in this module instead of rewriting the same test or cloning the same test all the time. What is important to mention about the test library is that a lot of QA teams are working with many test cases. And sometimes it's hard to find the specific test that you're looking for. The way that we solve this problem is by implementing this filter tree, which helps you narrow down your search for a specific test. How do you set up this filter tree? Basically, for anything that you want to organize your tests by, you create what we call custom fields. If we go into an individual test, for example, this one, what you will see is that this test was created in order to test the login with international characters function. This test has, how many? This is 6 different custom fields that were created, in this case, by me, but this is fully customizable, so you can create your own fields depending on how you categorize your tests. What I created for myself is the status. I want to know whether my test is ready to be executed, whether it's a draft. I also want to know whether this is a good automation candidate. In this case, it is. Test level is smoke. Feature, this is related to login functions, product web application, and it relates to the team no bugs left behind. Now, once I have these fields set up, and I also chose the correct values for each of these fields, I can now go back onto the main grid and create filters based on these fields. As you can see, the same values. We have the team with all of the teams. I have different products, mobile, web application, and also related features like the entity management, login functions, etc. And I also have a separate filter for tests that are good for automation. So now, because I know that my login with international characters test is assigned to the team no bugs left behind, I click on this view. And what it does, it creates a custom view for me to see all the tests that were assigned to this team. And there it is. This is the test that I'm looking for. In addition, this test is also a good automation candidate, right? So if I click on this filter, I get a custom view of all the tests that are good automation candidates. And I see my test there again. Last thing that I remember is that it was related to web application, login function specifically. So if I click here, I see my test again. What this does is it eliminates the need to create duplicate tests for different categories, like you would have to do in folders. All you need to do is to create fields, select the correct values, and create custom views that will help you categorize your tests and then eventually easily locate them in PractiTest. Regarding the filters, there's basically endless possibilities of how you can create different filters. If I click on the button here, one option is to create an auto filter, which will basically create a drop down of all possible values for a specific field that I select. You may already remember some of my fields. I have team, product, feature, test level. Let's say I want to use test level as a base. And I already selected auto filter. All right. And then now I can just hit create. And what I'll see is a new filter with all of the possible values. I have regression, smoke, and sanity with all of my tests already categorized per test level. You can do the same with all of the fields that you define. In addition to that, there is also manual filters that you can create. In this case, we're not selecting the auto filter. What we do is we select the end criteria and we select a specific field. It can be also a system field or also the custom fields that I've created. And let's say I want to create a filter that will only show me tests that are related to regression. So I will select test level as my field and select regression as the desired value. I also need to name this. We'll say regression tests. Create filter. Now I have a specific filter with all of the tests that are related to regression. A lot of teams are working with many filters at the same time, and it can become a bit overwhelming here. So we do have an option to make this any filter your favorite. And if I add it to favorites, you'll see that it will become sticky on top. So you will never lose it, and you will always have it here in front of your eyes. Another thing I wanted to show you, if you only remember specific keywords about your test or about any other item in PractiTest really, let's say I completely forgot which category it belongs to, but I do remember the name. So all I need to do is go to the search item field and type in login international. That's all I remembered. It will immediately give you a pop-up window with all of PractiTest modules and some of the options where they see the same keywords. So in this case, we're looking for a test, so it must be in this section, and I see this test. This is the login with international character test that we were looking at. All right. Another thing, if I go back to all tests, if I want to create a quick view without creating a filter, what I can do is use these quick funnel filters in the grid. For example, I want to see all of the tests that are ready for execution. All I need to do is just click on the funnel, select ready, apply, and I will only see tests that are ready. And the columns, by the way, are also fully customizable. All you need to do is just go to all tests, these three dots right here, edit, select the fields that I'm interested in and add them to the displayed section. That way you can edit your grid view. Let me see if there are any questions. Okay, we will get training further as well. Because first of all, I want to mention that if any of you have any questions after the session, or if you require any clarification, or if you're interested in additional capabilities, because I will not be, of course, able to cover everything today. But if anyone needs an additional training session, or you want to have a one-on-one with a customer success manager at PractiTest, please feel free to send an email, and we will arrange it for you very happily. I want to know how to import requirement from Jira to PractiTest. The filters will be applied to all items, right? Yes, so answering your question, how to import the requirement. If you go into the requirement section and click new requirement, you have a drop down to either create requirement directly in PractiTest or import a ticket from Jira. Once you click on import ticket, you will get a pop-up where you can either type in Jira key if you know the key, or there's also a more advanced option to import requirements from Jira using a filter that you will have to pre-make in Jira, and that way all the requirements under this filter in Jira will be automatically imported. But the easiest way at the moment is to actually, the filter would be the easiest way. It just requires a little bit of setup, which we can help with. But the straightforward way is just to type in Jira key and click import, and you will immediately see your requirement in this grid here. And regarding the filters, yes. So filters that I'm describing in the test library, and I'm using test library as an example because this is where you require advanced search capabilities most of the time. The same tree can be built in requirements, in test sets and runs, as well as in issues. Christina, yes, of course, the AI can be used to create steps automatically, and I will actually be showing it right now. So thank you for this question. All right, so I will address the rest of the questions a bit later because I do want to show you the AI feature that we have for tests. And I think one of the best ways to show it is to show it as a flow that you can do from Jira. If we go back into our requirement, the login functionality requirement in Jira, let's say you would like to add an additional test here, or you may not even have any test link, and this is the first test that you created. What you can do is you can click on Create Test and link a requirement button here. Select the project that you want it in. In this case, this is my project, Demo Project 2. Click OK. And we will be automatically taken to the test library. This is the new test creation page with the title and the description of this test case that will be taken from the ticket in Jira. So you don't even need to copy paste it or write it again. It will be synced from Jira. What you can do is you can add more information or delete information that is not relevant for this specific case. Once that's done, all you need to do is to save changes. You can also, by the way, never forget to select the relevant fields. And once you save changes with the title and the description in, you will see this icon on the right side. This is the Smart Fox. Smart Fox is our AI assistant that helps you write test steps based on the title and the description of the test. So if I click on SmartFox now, I can click on Generate Steps button. and it will start generating them. This should take around 10 seconds. While it's thinking, I want to say that depending on the complexity of the test case and depending on how much information you provide SmartFox in the description, in the title, the steps will vary in how specific they are and how much information then they contain. I tested this with very simple descriptions like testing login functionality, just 3 words, and it will still generate steps, but they will be very basic, very general. If you provide it with more information, it will do a better job at generating steps. This may also why it's taking a bit longer, because I do have a longer description here. While it's thinking, maybe I'll check the chat. Okay. Okay, it's done. So what SmartFox did here is it generated steps based on the description and on the title that I imported from Jira ticket. And as you can see, we have the step description, the expected result already written for us. These fields are editable. So if you'd like to change the language or add more information or reduce the information, you can. Another thing that you can do is you can continue using SmartFox to then shorten the steps, expand them to be longer, more elaborate, let's say. And you can also change the steps tone. So in case if you are in a rush and you are writing your steps without paying attention to the tone, you can use AI to refine them. And also even fix grammar. If you're writing them in a rush and cannot be bothered with the tone and the grammar, SmartFox can be a great assistant in that. As you can see, what it did is it generated, I think it's like around 20 steps probably. Yeah, 20 steps with the titles and descriptions. Of course, this will not be the end product. You will have to work on them a bit more, but this is a great starting point in many cases, especially for more simpler generic tests. I hope that I answered your question. I think it was from Christina. All right. So let me check if there are any more questions before I move on. Christina, I see. Any possibility for AI to add the steps in BDD? So at the moment, unfortunately, SmartFox cannot create steps in BDD. What you can do, however, is you can create BDD tests manually. If you click on New Test, you will have an option to select BDD test where you can write scenario or an outline and run it accordingly. It will give you the field for the scenario, the description. All the rest of the fields are pretty much the same. There's also an option to create an exploratory test and an automated test as well. And of course, the scripted, the most commonly used one. Not going to save this one. Okay. The last thing that I wanted to show you is the option to call a test. If I go into I want to select the test with steps already, maybe this one. If I go into this test, for example, and then I open the steps. Let's say I am currently working on the steps, and I know that somewhere I've already written a test case that could be used inside of this test case. And I don't want to rewrite this 5 or 6 or 7 steps. I just want to sort of insert that into this one. What you can do is you can use this call a test functionality, which will let you insert an ID of the test that you want to add. For example, I'll select this 16, submit. You can also click on show test and it will show you the entire library from where you can find your test using filters. But this is just a quicker way. I'm writing 16 and I'm hitting submit. And what it does, it adds this entire test number 16 into this test as a step. At the execution level, when I'm using this test actually using it for the execution, this test will convert into steps. So whatever steps you have written in login functionality test will appear in the run. Okay, let me go back to the test library. All right, any more questions? Let me check. No, no questions so far. All right, so that gives me time to move to the test sets and runs section. So as we mentioned previously, test sets and runs is the execution module. This is where you run and record your tests. Test sets that you can see here are basically groups of tests that you want to unify or run together for any purpose. It can be a sprint, it can be operating system or execution type. These are just the sort of classification criteria that I created for myself. It can be anything else really. And one moment. And each test set, let's, for example, wanted to select this one. Let's select this test set. Each test set consists of instances. Instances are basically copies of your test in the test library. And the idea of creating these copies in this module is to once again support the reusability of your generic test cases. This way, you will be able to use the same test for multiple different test sets. So you'll be able to execute them in different contexts, in different sprints, or for example, you may want to execute the same test case on a Mac operating system, on Windows operating system, and make small adjustments each time without it affecting the primary test case. So what you see inside the test case are instances. And if we go into, let's go into this instance. As you can see, the instance will have the same title as its original test in the test library, but it will have different custom fields. We call them instance level fields. They will be more related to execution. For example, you can assign this specific instance to be executed by Anthony. You can also relate it to a specific build, for example. And in addition, what you can see in the instance is history of executions, of the runs. Each execution in PractiTest is called a run. So for example, here I can see that this specific instance in this test set was run once by a tester called Pete. And I can see when he ran it, how he ran it manually, and how long it took him, and also what was the status of that run, whether it eventually failed or passed. There's also an issue linked to this run, which means that Pete did find the bug. And that is probably why the status is also failed. If I want to run this instance again, or even run it for the first time, all I need to do is just to click on the Save and Run Now button, which will initiate a new run and also take me to this run. What I will see here are the actual steps. These are the steps that are pre-written in the test library. And as a tester, I can see the description, the expected result. I can also type in my actual result, what actually happened, and choose the status of this step. Let's say it passed. If I click pass, it will move me immediately to step 2. What else you can do from here? You can add attachments in case if you want to attach a proof of the step that you did. And also you can report a issue directly from the run. Let's say I'm running this test and I run into a bug. What I can do is I can either fail the step or I can fail the step and report an issue. There's two options. You can either report an issue internally in PractiTest, which will basically create a new entity in the issues module that we'll cover in just a moment. Or you can choose to report this issue into Jira or your backtracking, another backtracking platform. What happens if I report if I choose the Jira issue option? It will still create an issue in the issues module, but it will also create a new ticket in Jira. And from this pop-up window, I can control what will actually be reported into Jira. What PractiTest does for you is it lets you choose the type of the ticket that you'll want to create in Jira. For example, the default here is task, but we can also choose for it to be bug. And you can edit the title if you want to. You can edit the description. What's quite helpful is that PractiTest writes the description for you, so you don't have to waste time on summarizing what you found and where you found it. It tells you exactly where the bug was found, at which step, and also steps to reproduce the issue up until the bug. If I am satisfied with this description, I can click on Create the issue in Jira Cloud. And what it will do, it will create the ticket and also give me a link that I can use to go to this ticket to see it. So as you can see, we have a new ticket created. It is a bug type. It has the same description, the title, and as well, there is a PractiTest panel that indicates the specific test run where you found this bug, from where you reported it, the run date, run status, the tester that reported it, in this case it's me, and also the link back to the test library to see the original test case. Now, from here, by the way, you can also go back to this ticket that is created in PractiTest. This is the exact copy of the one that we just saw in Jira, just it's in the issues module in PractiTest. I'm going to quickly check the chat if there's any questions. All right. Can we include diagrams and recordings in PractiTest? I am assuming you mean in the attachment section of the runs. Just confirm to me if I understood the question correctly. Yeah, I see another question from Ina, which I think is a similar question. Just confirm you mean whether we can you can attach videos in the I see. Yes. So this is a very good question. Let me double check it for you, and I'll get back to you in a moment. You can definitely attach pictures and screenshots. I'm going to check regarding the videos and the sizes of the videos that you can be attaching. Can we run all tests at one time, or it has to be run individually? So at the same time, you can only run one test from the same tab. If, let's say, I am a tester and I am going into the test set, and then I'm in a test set, I'm going into the scripted instance, and now I want to run it. I will only be physically able to run this test once. However, what I can do is I can finalize this test, and then I can see the nearby tests, and I can also finalize the test and go back to the test set, which will take me back to the same grid here, from where I will see all the remaining tests that I still need to test. All right. So going back to the issues module, this is the bug that we just reported from Jira. If I go inside this bug in PractiTest, what I will see is the description, the same one that we've just reported. The only difference is that now this URL will link us back to Jira instead of linking it to PractiTest. And normally, what I would want to do as a tester is I'll wait for this bug to be addressed. And once the bug is fixed, I would need to retest it to verify that it's actually working properly. So the flow that we're often suggesting is going back to the, oh, sorry, this is the bug. This was the bug that we reported in Jira. Let's say a developer saw the bug, attended to it, and finalized it. They will change the status in Jira to done. This will be immediately synced into PractiTest. If I refresh this page, I will see that the status will be changed to done as well. And once I see that the status is done, I can retest this one and have it run again to verify that it's indeed been fixed. So at the moment, what you will need to do is you'll just need to go back to the test set and initiate this instance again, initiate another run. However, a lot of beta users, those that have access to our PractiTest beta, are able to use this retest button that you can see here. It will be available in the traceability tab of the bug. That will do all that process for you automatically. So I click on retest and it immediately creates a new run for me with the same test, and it will also show me the linked issue that was reported from this step. Few words about the beta. This is one of the functionality that is only available in beta. Very soon, in about a week or a bit more, beta will become available as an opt-in for all the users. So you will be able to switch from your initials in the top right corner to a different version, to the beta, and that's how you can have access to retest. By the way, if you want me to assist you with that, feel free to contact me after the webinar. We believe this is a very helpful feature to have. I'm checking the chat again. If I link the test run in Azure pipeline, then it will be possible to run multiple tests at the same time. Christina, I struggle a little bit to answer your question. Sounds like a specific use case. Perhaps perhaps you can send me an email after the webinar, or maybe I'll contact you and we can discuss the specific use case with Azure, so I can help you with this. Can I mark a test to retest it if it has to be done at a later time? Yes, so this, I see that somebody also raised a hand. I think this is my colleague. Maybe she wants to answer the question. I'm going to allow you to talk, Ira. Ira, you are now unmuted, yes.
Yes, sorry. Hi. Jira project is not connected. You probably need to go to project settings and activate the Jira integration for the specific project. Obviously, we can talk about it after this webinar, but just a little tip: all projects needs to be connected to Jira, and it can be managed from project settings if you have the admin permissions.
Thanks. Thank you, Ira. This is my colleague Ira, by the way, also customer success manager at PractiTest.
Yeah, sorry for interrupting, Ellie.
No, thank you very much. I'm going to mute you for now and move on to the... All right, so we discussed how to report an issue. And as you can see, I have a bunch of issues here that were reported in Jira as well. And I have some issues that were created directly in PractiTest or were reported from a run in PractiTest. What you can do here is also filter all of your issues with issues related variables. For example, you may want to see all your issues that are of certain priority, or maybe issues that were assigned to me. The filtering options that I wanted to show you in relation to issues is a cross filter. For example, if I want to see all issues that were reported from sprint number 3, what I can do is I can call this all issues in sprint 3. Because we don't have the sprint field for issues, we have it defined for the test sets and runs. We can use the filter from this module in issues to filter out the issues entities. So what I will need to do is I'll need to select the end cross filter criteria, then select, oh, sorry, I think I need to refresh. One moment, took too much time. I'm not sure why I'm having like a trouble. Okay, I'm selecting an entity here, test set, and I'm selecting a value sprint. Let's select sprint number 2 and write all issues. Sorry, all issues in sprint 2. Create filter. Okay, sprint number 2, copy, create. Now we have a specific filter that will show me all issues that were reported during the second sprint. I can see why I had an issue because I already have this filter created. So all of these issues here with their statuses, by the way, are available under this filter. This could be a helpful tip for you. I think that concludes the issues module for now. I'll move on to the dashboards. We have another 10 or so minutes, so I'm hoping I'll be able to cover all of it. The dashboard module, which we started with, is one of the most important modules, in my opinion, because it provides you real-life visibility into your entire process. You can customize the items to show you information regarding your instances, issues, and all other modules. If I go into a specific item, for example, this one, what you can do from here is you can customize this graph to be based on different entities. In this case, I have an instance entity because I want to see execution-related information. And I chose pie chart to represent all the instances that passed, failed, or were not run. This will basically encompass all time. But if I want to filter it further and only see issues, for example, that are related to, let's say, related to manual testing, I can select it, and then the pie chart will change with different percentages and numbers. I also have some advanced options. I can have my data displayed in percentage. I can also deselect that and see numbers instead if that's more helpful. You can see block 2, past 6, and customize the colors as well, by the way. For instances, we also have some specific charts that are related to execution only, like the execution progress graph, execution stacked bar chart, where you can have bars that will show you the progression of your executions, and others as well. I will show you the execution progress graph in the dashboard section in a second. This is what it looks like, the execution progress. As you can see, it's from 12th of February up until now. It shows you the progression of all of your testing. Now, up until very recently, if you wanted to see information related to specific sprints or specific teams, you would have to update the filters in each of these items separately. However, now we have an option to do it from the tab level filter in the right corner. So for now, all the information takes, all the data is taken from my entire project. What I can do is I can filter it according to my predefined field. In this case, I chose it to be sprint. And instead of creating additional tabs with more items split per sprint, I can simply click on sprint 2, and I will see this dashboard filtered only for sprint 2. You can also edit the specific field this tab filter is based on. And it can be based on any of the fields that you've selected. And that way, it's just a quick way to avoid having a lot of tabs and a lot of information that you'll have to eventually clean up at some point. Another thing that I wanted to show you is you can share your dashboard tab with external stakeholders as well. By creating an external URL. If I go to Edit Dashboard tab right here, Edit tab. Oh, sorry, this is not the right sequence. We go here. Then I click on the pencil icon. These are the two tabs that I have currently. This is the one that you saw on the screen, and this is the second tab. Let's say I'm interested in sharing this tab only. I click on the pencil, and I get the URL that I can copy paste and share with users that are even external to PractiTest. For that, you'll need to click Enable External URL Support without login, meaning without access to PractiTest. This is a very cool feature to have. The tab level filter, by the way, is also can be edited from here. All you need is you just need to check the Add Tab Filter and select the field that you want to filter your tab by. All right. The one thing that I wanted to remind you is that dashboards are updated every 15 minutes. So this is real-time data updated as you are progressing with your executions. Before I give the floor to you with the questions, I wanted to quickly tell you about the reports. This is also a very important part of PractiTest. When you do a lot of testing, you will eventually want to create reports related to it. We have lots of different options available. They are split per item. So, for example, if you want to create reports relevant to execution, it would make sense to take the instance one. And there are two main options here. There is the tabular summary report, as well as the detailed report with attachments. I will show you what these reports look like in a second. This is the instance tabular report. The first tab will be graphs of your choosing, and the data of your choosing will be in the second tab. If I go back to PractiTest and select this tabular summary graph, these are the customizing options here. So you can choose specifically which fields you will want to be displayed in Excel, anything related to the test set, to the tests themselves, and all the custom fields as well that you've created. In addition, you can also choose which charts you want to display. And you can also create the additional test set filter from here. Let's say you only want to see a report of your manual testing. All right. Another report that is available is the detailed report. I'll quickly show you what it looks like. I encourage you after the webinar to try it out yourself and see what are the options. This is a more detailed report. I created this one for tests, and as you can see, it provides me with a very granular information with the description, expected results, all of the information that you would want to see for an audit, for example, or if you want to have a records of all of your test cases with their history and traceability, with issues that were reported and requirements that are linked. That's why it's called detailed report. It can be downloaded in Excel format, as you can see, and also in PDF format that you will not be able to edit. And a lot more other options. They differ basically per entity, and instance would be one of the most popular reports. Lastly, when it comes to the main grid of the reports, there's a couple of things that you can do from here. You can rerun your reports in case if you, let's say, generated a report a couple of weeks ago, have done a bit of testing after, and you want to rerun it with the new information, you can do that from here. You can also copy or clone this report if you want to. It's not really cloning the report, it's more like cloning configuration. If I click on this, it will give me an option of the same configuration, but some fields I can change and generate a brand new report, and also edit and delete, of course. That wraps up the part about the reports. Now I'm going to open the chat and see if I have more questions to address. May I know from the basics what is the use of this and is the role position for PractiTest? Mohammed, if I understood your question correctly, what I wanted to say is that in general, PractiTest is an end-to-end test management platform. So what I've been describing is sort of a general flow that a QA team would follow, and we try to make this product as with testers in mind. And as you can see, we have a lot of options to make your lives easier with the reusability and traceability and many other features as well. I see that there's not a lot more questions right now in the chat. I do want to thank you for joining the session today. It was a pleasure. Feel free to let me know if you have any more questions or any other things that you want to explore. It's been great talking to you, and I wish you all the best while using PractiTest. Please have a great evening or rest of the day, depending on where you are. I'm going to stop share first and end. Goodbye.